Hello and welcome to Beyond the Lights, Football Across Texas, where we're talking football in towns with head coaches across the state. I'm your host, Brandon Brown, retired football coach and AD, and I'm glad you could join us today at this week's stop in the Lone Star State as we meet one more coach and one more town that make up the world of Texas high school football.
Favorite run play, I like ISO.
Power. You got to run the power.
So I was hung up at the crow's nest.
My grandfather was the first African-American running back to be All-State.
I was 19 right about the time and went to a church revival and got saved. And that path changed my life.
Mudita, which is finding joy or happiness in others' success.
Now, I got a funny story on this.
Coach, this guy's eyes popped out of socket.
Oh, those guys grew up on beans and cornbread. You know, I grew up on McDonald's and bologna sandwiches, a little better deal.
Yeah,
right.
I like to play the flute, Dad.
It ain't all right either. You're editing, but go ahead.
It's how well you can get your Jimmies and Joes to do the X's and O's.
So if I tell you too much more, I have to kill you?
All right, hello everyone. Hope y'all got off to a good start for the season this past week, and good luck in your first scrimmage coming up this week. Hard to believe it's already that time of year again, but excited for it nonetheless. Now, a couple quick comments before we get to Coach Koch. First, don't forget to follow and like if you enjoy listening to the podcast. I never really pay any attention to that stuff, but it does help the podcast show up better in searches. And I just realized that the website, footballacrosstexas.com, didn't show up if you just did a search for Football Across Texas because I didn't have a box checked on the website development site. So 2 years of the website, and you actually had to type in footballacrosstexas.com in the address bar at the top to get it to show up. So hopefully that'll be fixed in the next couple of days as Google does its registration stuff, and then you can just type in Football Across Texas, and it'll pull it up just like it would any other website. My regular site has all the other things, too, besides just the podcast site. It has a job board, coach business site, and the One For Him store. So don't forget, if you like Christian sports shirts, too, you can order them at the footballacrosstexas.com website. Just go to the website and click on the One For Him store. Those are the ones I sold at coaching school. The football posters on there, too. If you haven't checked out Randy Jackson's OVR 99, make sure and go to CoachRandyJackson.com and check it out. It's a great way to keep your athletes competitive year-round and everything from athletics to academics, and the kids love it. They get a rating that includes the physical aspects of the student and the academic and character as well. Keeps them competing, gives them a rating, and they like to see where they stand compared to their peers. So go to CoachRandyJackson.com, click on the Arena OVR 99 to check it out. And tell them I sent you and get 10% off if you decide to purchase it. All right, let's get to the show. Hello and welcome to episode 81. We are continuing our series today on becoming a head coach, and I'm in Paradise with head coach and athletic director Tommy Koch. Now, I would have pronounced that Koch, but I ran into one of your players before I came in here, and I asked where Coach Koch's office was, and he goes, "You mean Coach Koch?" And I'm like, God, I never would have guessed. It's spelled with one O. It's Koch.
I'm glad our players know that it's Koch. That's correct.
Well, Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. No, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you are hitting the busy time of year now, and there really is no break for you from here for a long time. And so I appreciate you taking the time, and you're right. You're fixing to be in the middle of changing buildings too. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. I actually asked my wife last week. I said, "Hey, are you ready for football season?" And she said, "Ready or not." So it's kind of how it goes. It's full speed ahead. And yeah, our school we passed a bond a few years ago. Our community's been extremely supportive, and so part of that bond is athletics. So we'll be at a new high school, and we'll roll in there next week. The athletics part of the new high school is going to be beautiful. 120-yard football field, half it's covered, so it'll feel like it's indoors. New basketball courts, brand new weight room. It's going to be really nice for us.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, when I walked up earlier, sorry, I can't talk now. Long trip this morning. When I walked up earlier, it looked like nothing had changed since I was here in 2009 was probably the last time I played against somebody here.
Yeah, so all of the facilities will now become the junior high. So where we are today will be the junior high weight room, junior high practice facility, but for our high school boys and girls, it'll all be brand new this year.
Oh, that's cool. Well, Coach, we always start the same way with you telling us a little about yourself, where you grew up, what got you into coaching, what brought you to where you are today.
Yes, sir. So I grew up in the Midwest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So For those of you listening, don't turn it off I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. But yeah, I grew up there, and then we had a family who lived in Flower Mound. So like every spring break and once a summer, we'd come down and visit family in Flower Mound. And I kind of knew I wanted to coach in Texas. So my dad was good coaching friends with Ronnie Gage.
Okay.
And at the time, he had taken the Austin College job. So Ronnie was then recruiting me to come play college football. So he's like, you need to get down to Texas. You need to get down here. And so Ronnie was kind of putting my foot in the door at Austin College, and I loved it. And I knew I wanted to stay and coach here. And so I actually started out kind of in the 6A, getting into Carrollton, and then, you know, I'm sure we'll get into that later, but now I'm at 3A Paradise. So that was kind of my movement from up north to down here in Texas.
Okay. All right. Now, where'd you wind up going to school then?
At Austin College.
At Austin
In Sherman,
College.
yes.
And then, that's different. I almost went to Austin College to play basketball.
Really?
Yeah, they had offered me basketball, but I liked football more. I just wasn't quite as good as football. But so you left Austin College. Where'd you go to coach?
So Carrollton, Arl Turner was my first job.
Arl Turner, and then to...
And at Carrollton, I was actually, like, in my head, I was always offensive side of the football. So that was my goal early on, was coaching quarterbacks and offensive coordinator. And on the side, I was doing some, like, independent quarterback training. Early on, you're not making much money, so that was a good side hustle for me. But it was good because, the quarterback position, it's one of the most cerebral, so you got to know the game. So that helped me just as a position coach early on. And then actually, Ronnie Gage's son, James Gage, he took the head coaching job at S&S. So you're moving north by the Oklahoma border, actually back close by Sherman. And he called me and he said, hey, my dad said I really need to hire you and try and get you on staff. And I kind of listened. And he's like, for defensive coordinator. And I told him, James, you got the wrong guy, man. And he's like, look, like, we can make it work. I got faith in you. And he had more faith in me than I had in myself at the time. But just one of those things I kind of talked about it and then prayed over it. And I thought, this is kind of scary, but I kind of like the opportunity to grow. So from there, I moved to the defensive side. And for me as now head coach, that was the best thing that could have happened because I had experience coaching quarterbacks and then moving to the defensive side. So I feel like it really helped me to be a much more well-rounded head coach. Like I tell our kids right now, hopefully you don't see me as an offensive or defensive coach because like at Paradise, we expect our kids to be football players, meaning like I joke with our quarterbacks. I'm like, you're not a quarterback, you're a football player, meaning you're going to play offense, defense, special teams. So for me as a coach, I want to make sure I know our offense, defense, and special teams and have my hand in all three phases. So when I moved to S&S, that was great for me, getting on the defensive side of the ball. And then a few years later, then ended up here at Paradise.
Okay. Now, what years would that have been that you were at S&S?
Great question. So that would have been I always think back to when my daughter was born. So it was 2015, 16, 17.
Were they always in that district with like Pottsboro and
so we had Gunner,
okay.
And there was a little bit of movement. Sometimes it'd be a 16, sometimes an 8-team district. We actually 2 years in a row we had really good games versus Gunner. My second year there, we stopped Gunner on a 4th and 1 and took the ball over and had a chance to go down and score, and they made a play on defense, and we lost by 6 points. And then the next year when Gunner won their first state championship, it was 0-0 for a long time. They tried to run counter option, or we hit the quarterback and scooped it and went up 7-0. And then they kind of played like state champs, and they came on in the fourth quarter and ended up beating us. But those were some battles in that district, and it was good football for 3A too.
Yeah, that area has a lot of good.
It does.
Good
football.
Football.
It does.
Well, okay. So then from S&S, where'd you progress to?
So then just a year at Crum. And actually, interestingly enough, so at that point, my dad he's a longtime coach in Wisconsin, and he retired, and Ronnie Gage recruited him to come down and be his offensive coordinator here at Paradise. And so my dad calls me right away, and he's like, hey, you need to come to Paradise. And it was one of those things, I had already made a commitment. Coach O was the head coach at Crum, and so I prayed about it, and I called him back, and it was a tough phone call. It's my dad. And I was like, hey, I want to be at Paradise. Like, it's been a lifelong dream to coach with you. But I said, I've just made a commitment, and it really feel wrong to kind of bail on Coach O at this point. So I was there for a year, and then Coach O left after the year. So it's kind of a natural, like, okay, the staff is changing. Let me reassess. My dad calls me again. Hey, I tried last year. I'm going to try again. You need to get to Paradise. And it really worked out because they were transitioning defensive coordinators. So then I moved into the DC role here at Paradise.
Okay.
And that was 2018.
Okay. See, and that I think that was one of the best things that ever happened to me as a coach was I wanted to be an OC. My brother wouldn't give me the OC job when I was working for him. He made me the DC, like you said. And it was great because you start learning, because I'd always been coaching O-line. And so all of a sudden you're starting to learn, okay, this is what the defense is taught to do to react to what I'm doing offensively. So I think, like you said, I think it just makes you a better coach and helps you to grow.
Yeah, that's great. And you know, sometimes like guys just getting into the coaching profession, maybe they think like O-line's not very glamorous. I was talking to, we're having a first-year coach, and he's going to be primarily with our junior high. But I was telling him, hey, I'm going to put you on the offensive line because this is just one of the best places for you to learn the game and to really grow. Like being on the O-line early in your career is a great place to be. Yeah,
no, I totally agree. That's what my oldest son that coaches at Salado, he did that a couple years out at Hardin Simmons as a GA. And I said, oh, my gosh. And the head coach, of course, is the O-line coach there, or was at least. I'm not sure if he still is. But so that was like perfect for Josh to get to work under him.
That's great.
With that O-line and learn a lot of that stuff. So that's, like you said, anything that can make you a more well-rounded coach, I think, benefits you in the long run. So yours was a pretty fast movement from assistant coming in as a brand new coach to assistant to DC even.
Yes.
And then you spent several years, probably what, that total about 8 years as a DC maybe?
Yeah, so 2018 to 2020, the end of the 24-25 season.
Okay.
And then obviously last year is my first year taking over as head football coach AD.
Okay. Now, how's that transition been?
It's been good and also challenging, and I think not just for me as well. Like, so my dad still comes back and he still helps. I mean, he's done teaching and all that stuff, but he'll come back and help us coach, and that's been a huge blessing. But I think last year was just a big transition year all the way around. You know, I told our coaches before the season started, hey, there's gonna be a lot I don't know and a lot I'm not great at. So give me a little bit of patience, like challenge me, but give me a little bit of patience, and I'll figure it out and get better every day. And for my dad too, like it was a transition for him. Like he's whatever it was, 40 years a head coach.
Yeah.
And now his son's the head coach and he's got to be a position coach. So it was great, but also a challenge. I think for our staff, like me being in year 2, everyone having another year together, it feels to be a really great situation where we've hopefully worked out some of the kinks in that first year of transitioning.
Yeah, no, definitely. Year 2 is always a lot easier. But I bet it made the whole overall transition a little easier, the fact that you'd been here several years as a DC too, because everybody knew you, the kids knew you. It wasn't a drastic change of program. Now, was there anything that you said, all right, I did not like the way Dad did this, I'm changing this? Was there anything like that you made that was a big change?
Yeah, he would he'd probably say too much, honestly, if you asked him. But no, he's been, like, my dad has been just amazing. He's such a great football coach. Obviously, like, great dad, but also just a mentor to me. So there's always stuff I can ask him, like, hey, what do you think about this? And a lot of times we agree, but there's going to be stuff where we disagree on it. But, you know, he'd encourage me as well just to be my own coach. Now, Friday nights, there's going to be time where we butt heads. That happens. But, yeah, there's always, you know, from the little things about, like, how you run your off-season weight program to stuff on Friday nights, like what are we doing on 4th and 4 from the -40. So there's definitely some differences.
Okay. Now, okay, so let's get more to our main topic here. We've already talked about the path you took to get your first head job. What are some strategies that coaches could be using now, or things that they can be doing to help get their foot in the door for those first head jobs to start kind of preparing that way?
Yeah, so I would, like, what I tell our coaches right now is every day really take ownership of your position group, of who you are as a coach. I think it's a big mistake to at least mentally think of yourself as like, oh, I'm a climber and I'm going to mark out, you know, necessarily path A, B, C. It's going to happen somewhat naturally. But if you're doing your best every single day, just say you're the O-line coach, you're going to do the best every single day to be the O-line coach. Start with that, because having ownership of a group is setting you up to have ownership over a program one day. And then the second thing I tell our assistant coaches is there's always extra work to do. And we have a lot of coaches on our staff that are great about this, about taking the initiative to do work and pick up work that people aren't maybe excited about. Because you know this, when you get in the AD role and the head coaching role, there's a million things from laundry to who's setting the field. And when you have coaches that are willing to take the initiative, one, over their position group, and then two, to do extra work, you're kind of finding the personality that's cut out for a head coach. So I tell them, start with that before you kind of map out the next 10 years of your life. Start with those two things.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Taking ownership and taking initiative.
Yes, sir.
And the ownership thing to me was always a big deal, because you would occasionally, and I was fortunate enough, I coached with some really good guys, but you would occasionally find that coach that would be like, oh, I got to call plays on Thursday night.
Right.
And they wouldn't show up with any kind of script, wouldn't show up with any kind of play chart, and I'd be like, what the heck? These kids are working their butt off all week to try to win. You need to show up prepared for this like you would on a Friday.
Absolutely.
And so I like the taking ownership thing, because that was always a big deal to me too, is I wanted to see that professionalism and that attitude of, I don't care what group you give me, I'm going to do my best with it.
That's exactly right. And our preseason coaches meeting, I told our coaches, we need to do a better job this year on the junior high. And that's speaking to all coaches. And I told them, myself included, like, we need to make sure with these 7th and 8th graders, we are very prepared, very organized, and we're putting them in the best position to win. Because, you ignore them for a couple of years, and all of a sudden those are your varsity football players.
Yeah.
And so you just can't overlook the stuff that seems like, it's not win now mode, and so like the guys we have that are primarily junior high coaches, they'll do that. They'll like, hey, I'm the head coach of this 7th grade football team. Like, I'm going to get after it. And you have to have that mindset.
Yeah. No, and I remember sometimes I used to see on a resume, coaches, assistant coaches, would put on their resume when I'd be interviewing them, I'd look and it'd say like, we were undefeated 7th grade year, undefeated 8th grade year.
That's
and,
right.
Sometimes I would kind of want to giggle about that, but then at the same time I'd be like, I like that.
Yes.
Because they took ownership of that group.
Right.
They paid attention to their record. They paid attention. So, it was a good thing. Although, sometimes you'd want to look at it and say, okay, well, what did y'all do as a varsity? But it was like, hey, I like it. They took ownership.
And I can say this, like, just looking back at the end of year one from being a head coach, like, I would say, let's say someone's aspiring to be a head coach, and maybe they're in a defense or offensive coordinator role right now. If they feel like the transition from OC to head coach, if you're having to learn a bunch of new stuff schematically, you might be in a little bit of trouble. Like, you should feel like you have such ownership of your offense and defense and special teams scheme that when you get into the head coaching role, now you can deal with all the extra stuff that you didn't realize was going to be on your plate.
Yeah.
So, the time to really, really grow and make sure you're prepping for that first head coaching job, like when you're an OC or DC, you need to start thinking a little bit outside the box of, okay, maybe I'm the OC, but time to grow myself a little bit on the defensive side, time to grow myself a little bit on the special team side. So when you're a head coach, you're already, 1-2 steps ahead.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Now, are there things that a coach can be doing to market themselves now to trying to get, because sometimes just getting that first interview is really difficult. Are there things that they can do that gets their name out there or things like that can help get their foot in the door for the first interview?
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, I may be a bad person to ask. I don't do social media. I'm not like I'm just not marketing myself very well. But I'll give you a good example of, so a good buddy of mine, him and I were running that quarterback academy I'd mentioned our first couple of years. At the time, we were both position coaches, different schools. And so we were training kids individually. And what happened, we went to a school, it was Louisville High School, and Coach Odell kind of took notice. He's like, man, you guys do a great job. And so he kind of approached us about like, hey, what do you think about joining my staff down the road? And for my buddy, he ended up working his way onto the Louisville staff and then became the offensive coordinator. So that was never a plan he had mapped out. He was just doing his best to coach kids. But, a head coach took notice of him saying, hey, you can really coach. Like, you'd fit in well here.
So camps, working clinics, things like that.
Working clinics, if you're doing any individual training, that can be a blessing. Something that's really good too is one thing is going to a coaching clinic, like say it's the Glacier or DFW, is going there, and another is like, for our coaches, I tell them it's not really a social event. You should be going to better yourself as a coach, but also connect with the people around you, because one day somebody may be hiring you or you may be hiring them. So, sometimes in the coaching world, we make enemies, the guys we're trying to beat on Friday, and, that's understandable. But also it's like, okay, connect with the people around you, treat them the way you want to be treated, because, in the profession we can hopefully help each other.
Yeah, no, definitely. And the networking part was always something that I was not as good at.
That's me.
I never
That's
felt,
me,
yeah,
yeah.
'cause I was always, I focused everything I had on my own program, my own kids, my own town,
Yes.
my own that, and I did not do a good job of networking. Now for me and what my long-term goals were too, it wasn't a problem,
Yeah.
But if I'd wanted to really go be a part of the THSCA, leadership stuff, or THSADA leadership stuff, or representative for this or that, I know I definitely would have needed to do more of that. But the networking thing, that's a big deal.
And I think it's different too. Like if you're saying that first year coach, if you're a first year coach, I think it's something to really think about and pray about where you start your career at, because you'd ideally like to be in a program that you think, man, this is a really well-run program, because that gives you the opportunity potentially to stay there, invest in the kids, invest in the community, and then move from junior high coach to freshman coach to eventually your varsity position, OC, DC. Like if you can stay in a community and hopefully it's a good football program, I think that's a huge benefit to a young coach, as opposed to moving your family every 2 years. And that can be, it's not for everybody, but that can be very challenging.
Yeah, I know. Does that scare you when you see resumes of a coach that's 10 years of coaching and they've been in 6 different towns?
Absolutely. Honestly, I'd be pretty unlikely to give them an interview. There's exceptions, of course, but I tell our coaches, like, we need good people who care about kids. We need good coaches, and I need to know you're going to be here for 5 years. If you're going to be here for 2 years, you could be the best candidate, but I won't hire you.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good to know. Okay, so had you interviewed or sent out resumes for other head jobs before you took over here?
So, no is the answer to that. And this is something I think has been a huge blessing for me. Like I already mentioned, like my dad being in the profession has been a huge blessing. But actually, I just feel like the honest answer is God has always led me where I needed to be, because I don't get on job boards and I don't search. And when opportunities have been presented to me, I usually just pray about it. I'm going to talk to my wife and then go from there. But I just don't like to get on the job boards. If I'm in a place, I want to invest in the kids and invest in the community and try to be there, until I think, okay, the Lord's leading me elsewhere. So no, I'm not on the job boards, and I never took a head coaching interview until Paradise.
Okay. Coaches, if you haven't checked out Spiral XO yet, it's not too late to get started. The all-in-one football software that'll save you a ton of time this season. Everything from your playbook maker to player quizzes to in-game analytics, player and parent communication, and a lot more. Even inventory for the end of the year. I wish this was around when I was coaching, because I hated having about 10 different things open at once, and this has everything together on your phone or on the computer, and it integrates with Huddle. So go to spiralxo.com. You can watch a demo, or you can sign up for a longer demo if you want a longer one. Tell them I sent you and get 10% off if you do sign up. It's growing fast in the southeastern states, especially out in Georgia where it started, but it's brand new, so it hadn't had time to get to Texas yet. So it'll be here pretty quick, so jump on board and be one of the first to get on. All right, back to the show. All right, so what was it when you did have to interview for it? No experience interviewing for head jobs or anything before. How did you prepare?
Well, the first thing is prayer, for sure.
Yeah.
And I told our superintendent at the time, I can tell you very honestly, there's going to be a lot about this job that I have to learn. I'd be lying to you if you say, I got it all mastered. But what I could say confidently to our superintendent at the time is, I care about these kids. I've invested in the community. I think our record on the field shows for itself that we went from a school that was never winning to one of the top programs in the state. And you're always going to get my best effort. And, you can't guarantee results, but that's what you're going to get from me.
I think what you said there, a lot of people are afraid to go into an interview and say that, hey, look, I know I still have a lot to learn.
Yep.
But I always appreciated the honesty of somebody I was interviewing saying, hey, look, I know I don't know it all. I've got to learn some stuff. But I always like to hear, too, I've got a good support group. I've got a good group of coaches that I can call and I can get info on this. I've got guys I can sit down with and learn more about this on the special teams, that kind of thing. So I like that honesty, though, about, hey, I know I don't have it all figured out and there's some learning to go.
Well, I learned actually my first interview was kind of embarrassing. So I learned the hard way. you prepare as much as you can. Okay, what are they going to ask me? I have my answers ready, all that. And the interview was going great. And then it was more like teaching questions. Then they got into coaching later. And so they asked me, what are your strengths? And I'm like, okay, I've prepared for this question. Here are my teaching strengths, 1, 2, and 3. And then you would have thought I prepared. What are your weaknesses? I blanked out, and in my head, I'm like, I got a lot of weaknesses.
I don't have any.
Now I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So there's all sorts of weaknesses, but I had nothing. And honestly, I'm just like, well, apparently I'm just not very humble because I can't think of anything right now. So I learned in that moment, just be honest and, have a good conversation and don't try and come up with the perfect answer. Just shoot them straight.
That's good. That's good to know. So those of you out there listening, when you interview, you better always prepare for that question because I bet that's been in probably at least 60 to 70% of the interviews I've been through have always asked that question.
And I ask it now, hey, what's an area you need to grow? Because I know we had practice this morning. I'm already thinking about, okay, we got to get better tomorrow. So there's always room to grow. Everyone's got it.
And I always told my son when he goes into an interview, or I've told him both this, but the oldest one, especially when he was coaching, he'd be like, okay, what are some questions I need to be prepared for? And I'd tell him this and that. And I said, don't worry about thinking about what they want to hear. If you're the person that's supposed to be in that job, then who you are when you're coming across will be apparent then. I said, and you need to be you, and if that's not a good fit for them, you don't need to be there.
Yeah, and I actually think, like, if you're going to talk interview specific, I think, a lot of communication is nonverbal. So if you come in with a smile and you're joyful and you have really good energy, and at times maybe you need to command the room, but at times have good energy, a lot of that's going to communicate like, hey, I'm somebody we can work together. If you're so nervous that you're just thinking of the perfect answer, you've kind of shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, I totally agree. You've got to go in there relaxed and confident in, my philosophy was always like yours was. This is where God wants me to be. He's going to open that door. He's going to bring me into it. So I'm going to go in there and be who he made me to be and be honest about everything. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, great. No big deal.
Yeah, and it's always easier said than done, but if you can have, some level of peace about it, that's great.
Yeah, no, amen to that. All right, let's see. Okay, so this being year 2 of you and your program, how long do you think it is really going to take? And your answer may be a little different since you've been here a while anyway, but what do you feel coming into year 2? Is this going to be a year that you can see more changes and more of your true program coming out? Or was it so much really that just carried through from the previous one that the pattern's already there for everything?
I would say yes, and it's also a little bit of kind of both and, because I'm very blessed. I kind of get to stand on the shoulders of giants. I think not even just what my dad has done, because like if I just quick speak on this, like his whole coaching career, kind of his MO was he took a team that was bottom of the barrel and then turned them into contenders. And so he had a long track record of doing that when he came to Paradise, a lot of 2-and-8s, 3-and-7s. And he did such a good job turning the program around. But we also have a lot of coaches, like a longtime assistant, Coach Ryle, another longtime assistant, Coach Shelby. They were people who were helping shape the culture of Paradise in a very godly way, where we wanted to say, hey, let's win and let's help build men of character. So I got to be a part of that. So for me, that was like, we're building culture before I'm coming into the head role. So that is such a huge advantage. A lot of guys are going to step in and feel like, okay, I'm at ground zero. We got to tear it down before we build it up. So I did not have to do that. I got to hopefully, inject a little bit of rocket fuel and then hopefully keep building. But I was very blessed to step into that role. And also, like this next year, you will see a lot of differences as well. We actually, as a coaching staff, we kind of, at the end of the year, we kind of say, we look at everything we did, we tear it all down, even if it worked, and say, okay, why did it work? And the stuff that didn't work, why wasn't it working? And let's just kind of rebuild it, look at the kids we have, because, 3A, you may have an athlete at quarterback one year and drop back the next, and build from there. So schematically, this next year we will be a little different.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of. So is that at the end of the season? You kind of do a postseason autopsy, like Randy always calls it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Usually, everyone's kind of catching their breath through Christmas, and then in January, we just do a total overhaul of everything and kind of really challenge ourselves and say, okay, let's do it better. Even if it worked, let's do it better.
No, that's good. That's good. Okay. So that's all of those questions on that line. So let's go to rapid fire questions.
All right, here we go.
The slow rapid fire questions. What's the most unusual situation you've encountered as a coach?
Well, I won't get into the details. I had a couple parents who were angry with me after a big win last year, so that was not a situation you don't really prepare for as a head coach. Huge win, come off the field, and you got some parents that are angry at you. So that's one, like, for new head coaches, you're like, okay, be ready. You can't make everybody happy. So that was kind of unique last year, and it was all good. But some of that stuff your mind doesn't think that's going to happen, and you got to handle it well.
Well, when I was at Jacksboro, and this was my first taste of that, it wasn't on me, but when I was at Jacksboro, Brock was in our district. They didn't have football back then. It was basketball and baseball were their big things. Basketball won state one of those years, and a parent was mad and turned them in for a practice violation.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it had to do with high school practicing against junior high.
Yeah, you can't make everybody happy. You learn that pretty
and so
quick.
it's like, yeah, golly, they win state, and here's what gets brought up. Someone goes and turns them in for high school practicing against junior high. So we had to have a big district deal where we were all reminded that high school athletes were not allowed to practice against junior high. And it was basketball or something, but I was like,
no, it's disappointing, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to keep them all happy. You're definitely right on that. What's your favorite pass route?
Well, our quarterback's arm strength is good this year, so play action sail.
Okay.
Which is like a version of traditional flood concept for us.
Okay. Yeah, flood routes are tough. Everybody's got to be perfect or somebody's going to be open.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, favorite run play?
We actually don't run it, but counter midline triple like the Naval Academy used to run. I think it's beautiful when you see it done well. I love it. And defensively, it's very annoying to defend.
Then why don't you find a version of it to
You're
run
right.
with your offense?
I like that. You're right. What are we doing? Let's go. We're going to put it in
like
tomorrow.
telling me your favorite plays of power and you don't run it. Yeah,
It takes so much time, but when you see the Naval Academy running, you're like, all right, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is good. And defense, I used to like running because we ran the veer my last few years, which was kind of more up my alley than the spread was. It took me a while to figure that out. But I liked it because I knew as a defensive coordinator that anytime a team ran an option, it's like, God, we got to rep the crud out of it because we got to be perfect. The one time you're not perfect, so you're going to bust it.
Yeah, a lot of time, a lot of reps, but no, it's great. My dad, he's an old veer guy for sure. In high school, I was running the veer, so I love it.
Okay, do you have a hair policy with your kids?
Absolutely. That's a big deal in Paradise. Off the ears, off the eyebrows, off the collar.
That's exactly what ours was.
Don't dye it anything crazy. Yep.
Oh, there we go. All right, heads or tails on a coin flip?
Heads.
All right. Spoken like an offensive guy. Offense, or do you like to go offense first, or do you like to defer if you win the flip?
Actually, I'll flip it, but if I had to tell you right now, we'll defer, and then obviously the win factors in, but our bases defer.
Okay, so you generally defer, but it is situational.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you give a pregame speech?
Short and sweet. We actually have another coach who leads like our pregame Bible study.
Yeah.
And then my speech will be about 20 seconds, and let's go.
All right, I like that. Your guy that does the pregame Bible study, has he done one on David's Mighty Men yet?
He has. He has.
That was my favorite pregame speech to give was, do you want to be one of his 300, one of the 30, or do you want to be one of the 3?
Well, we're going to have you come do a pregame. So you're going to have you do pregame speeches in week 1. Let's go.
That was my favorite one because it was like, okay, are you content with being part of the 300 or do you want to be one of those elite 3? Are you going to give the effort to be one of them? So we had a sword. Do y'all do helmet stickers?
We do.
We had a sword for one of our helmet stickers. Every kid got one, and it was up to them on whether or not they played till their hand was frozen to the sword.
That's cool.
And from his Mighty Men that did that, I think it was Eliezer.
We may have to steal that from you.
Yeah, it was good. That was one of my favorite things. But favorite quote
from a coach,
or that you like to use with your kids.
Oh, our saying, tough like Jesus. We say it every day.
Oh, there we go.
Tough like Jesus.
That's the TLJ.
TLJ.
So instead of TPW, tough people win, it's tough like Jesus.
There's nobody tougher than Jesus, so you can't argue with that.
That is true. And a shout out to Coach's Corner for putting y'all's I think it's Facebook that I follow Coach's Corner on, and they had that picture of y'all's poster on your fence out there that says tough like Jesus. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, so we have one of our assistant coaches. He does a good job with the social media, and I'm not on social media at all, so he texted me and said, hey, there's been 500 likes on this picture. And I'm like, awesome, praise the Lord. Keep it going.
I was one of them.
Okay, good, 501.
Okay, music in the weight room?
Yes, no profanities, nothing inappropriate, but absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's what I used to tell them. Nothing about sex, drugs, alcohol, or cussing.
That's right.
And
yeah,
it's a little harder to find nowadays. But
yeah, but there's a lot of good alternative, whether it's just like pump up or good Christian music. There's options.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely are. Okay, varsity player in the band. Do you let them march at halftime?
We've had that. I don't think we'll have it this year, but we've had it.
Did you let them march?
Yeah, we do. We tell them at Paradise, like, do it all, man. You want to be on the bass fishing team, band, do it all.
Good. Okay, favorite 3 lifts in the weight room?
Man, when I was a player, I used to love hang clean, but we wouldn't even hang clean anymore. Lots changed in the weight room. So for me, as personally, hang clean was number 1. We used to do all the Olympic lifts. But squat, our skill guys do a lot of dumbbell work on the bench, and then we'll do a lot of different explosive work out of the racks. So we have a few different versions of that, but I like our explosive works.
So you don't do hang clean?
We don't. We got rid of it a few years ago.
Okay, why? Tell me why.
So like growing up, I actually love like hang clean, hang snatch. Like personally, I loved it, and there's a ton of value to it. So if you're still doing it, keep doing it. Like credit to you. We just found there was more efficient ways where you weren't coaching technique as much because what's the value of hang snatch? You're looking for quick twitch, and you're trying to develop explosive athletes. But hang snatch, potentially, you get a freshman in there who does it wrong. There's a high chance of injury, and then you're looking at like rotator problems if you're catching in the wrong spot. And it takes a lot of time to teach. So we just thought, okay, are we getting as much out as we're putting in? And can we find a more efficient way to get the same result? And so we think we've done that, but I kind of miss it.
Okay. No, but that's good, though, because so many times it's like we go in phases. This is the big lift for the next 20 or 30 years.
Right.
These are the big things the next 20 or 30. And then we realize that, there is a better way to do certain things. I follow Ryan Krauser on some of his throwing stuff.
Okay.
And I like watching him because what he does on a lot of his is pieces of lifts, and works on the speed of moving that weight over that distance, and not as much of the full-blown power lifts or, Olympic lifts, but pieces of them and trying to do those parts fast, just like you said, to work the fast twitch. But he's got his speed meter or, that's measuring speed on it. So I like I like to see things kind of change as we
everyone kind of sees it, whether you're watching Friday or Saturday or Sunday Night Football, but like, the game has changed a lot. Like X's and O's has changed a lot, even the past 5 years. But also in the weight room has changed a lot. Like we're also at Paradise, like very blessed. Our superintendent gave me the green light to have one of our coaches be our strength and conditioning coordinator, Derek Shelby, and like that's what he eats and sleeps, and he does such a good job with our kids. That's his passion, is just developing them as athletes. So for me, that's a big weight off my plate to know, okay, you love it, you're great at it. You take ownership of that. Like when we talked about being the head coach, be the head coach of the weight room. And it's fun. We ended weights today and I actually had to jump into a meeting, and the kids are going nuts in the weight room, getting better. So it's great to have somebody like that on your staff.
Now, does he take care of the girls' side too with the weights?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay.
He does a great job with the girls.
That's good because, too many times, and I've noticed especially at the smaller schools that I was at, when I would come in, his weights were kind of ignored on a lot of times on the girls' side on things. But I know in recent years it's been getting better and better.
Yeah, so you talked about one of the changes. I had put into the school policy about how many times was a minimum required. So from the junior high girls all the way to varsity boys, so all 7 through 12, everyone has different kind of stipulations, but every head coach is responsible for getting a minimum number of weight workouts per week. And how they want to structure that in their schedule is up to them, but they'll meet with our strength and conditioning coordinator, because we don't want to train a 7th grade volleyball girl the same way we train a varsity football player.
Right.
So we're not going to just throw a cookie cutter workout out there and, hey, just do some random bench for 20 minutes. So he does, Coach Shelby does an excellent job with that. But for all of our boys and girls at Paradise 7 through 12, like we say, hey, in the weight room, in the extension of the weight room, we will develop you. You will get better.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. We used to, at Schulenburg, when I first went there, Don Zappalak kind of ran the girls' side, and he's still the girls' coordinator. But he and I used to go to A&M probably once every year or two and talk to some of their strength coaches and go through things. And so it was kind of like you said. It wasn't when I first went in, I had the girls doing exactly what we did. I mean, it was bench squat and power clean and push press. Those 4 lifts everybody's going to do. But by the time we were done, he had convinced me. He said, look, what I need with them is different than what you need over there. And so I was like, okay.
Yes.
So he would modify it, however he felt like everything, fit theirs better. So like you said, it wasn't the cookie cutter approach, which is good to be more specific. So.
And it's changing so much. If you don't have somebody that's their passion, it's hard. It can get overlooked. Everyone's busy and you're teaching and you're coaching multiple sports. So that's why having that strength and conditioning guy who's good at it, it's a big deal.
Yeah, no, definitely. Okay, what's your favorite agility exercise to run the kids through?
We have some agility drills that we do in the season with our DBs, but in the off season we have like a hip flip circuit that we do them, and we tell them if you're an athlete, you can run the hip flip circuit. So it's a good one because you find out pretty early who can play football, because whether you're big or small, if you got hips, you can probably play.
Yeah, no, we used to do some sprints where every time we blow the whistle, it's either a half turn, full turn, or whatever while you're running down there. So you got to open those hips, throw that elbow, and sink them, and those are good. Those are a lot of people ignore the hip stuff, but that's good.
No, if you're an athlete, you got to have hip mobility.
Just curious, do your linemen do the duck walk for the hip mobility?
They do a version of it, yeah. Our offensive line coach, he's got towels set up every 5 yards, and it's kind of like clockwork. Like when we blow the whistle and we start varsity offense, they get on the towels and they're taking duck walks and steps, and it's like in a 3-minute span they get a ton of reps.
I can't believe it. I started doing duck walk myself.
Okay.
Because now that I do those home inspections, I found myself in attics squatting down, having to reach to the next piece of wood. And I know it sounds stupid, but I started doing duck walk in the weight room, and I know my daughter gets embarrassed when I do it, but it helps that hip flexibility and mobility so much.
It does.
I don't feel like I'm fixing to fall through a roof cramping anymore, So.
Smart, that's right. I'll joke with our coaches, like, you look around, I'm like, all right, we get some older coaches here. We need like a team coach stretch. The coaches need to be going through warm-ups
Coaches
right now.
yoga.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, are you a conspiracy theory person?
No. No, I'm not. We
Not
have a
at
couple
all,
of guys that were on our staff that were big into that, and I just roll my eyes. I'm like, no.
Takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Not, though. Do you listen to podcasts?
Yes.
Okay, what are your favorite ones you like to listen to?
The one I listened to yesterday was actually like a religious one, Bishop Barron, Word on Fire. So he has like a weekly sermon.
Okay.
It's good. He's like heady, so it's theological, but I always learn from him, so I enjoy it.
Okay. Any other ones you like too?
I got another one that's more faith-based. It's called Pints with Aquinas. I actually don't listen to any football podcasts besides yours, so.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Good answer.
I get so much football nonstop. I'm like, okay, I need some God coming through the radio here. So.
Yeah, it needs to be more of that than the other.
Yes,
that's
yes,
for sure.
sir.
Okay, if you could change one rule in football, what would it be?
The shift on the D line. We used to get so many people on 4th and 1 moving, false starting all the time, and so they took some fun out of the movements up front. So I'm not a big fan of that.
So you can still do like a seat roll to move over a gap and stuff
you
like that.
You can,
right?
but like honestly, in my opinion, there's a lot of gray area where one Friday night they're not calling you and the next they are, and obviously everyone's got their own explanation for it. But I just feel like the rule is fairly vague, and yeah, I just don't like how they've tried to limit mobility, because you could get really creative, and we had a lot of really small teams the past 8 years, and we could compete with bigger schools. I just felt like it was an equalizer for teams that were outmatched.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an advantage big guy, so I didn't like that.
Yeah, okay. It's kind of like the defensive ends not being able to cut that pulling guard anymore. You know, it takes away the advantage that the smaller guy had to, find a way to make it work. What would you do if you weren't a coach?
I think I would do something maybe like a youth ministry. Like for me, being around the kids, like there's just good, fun energy. I jokingly tell them adults are boring. So something like that. I hope I can always coach. That's what I want to do. But something like that.
Okay. Do you have a pro or college coach that you kind of looked up to or model anything after?
There's always guys I'm trying to learn from. But if maybe just like all-time greats kind of look up to, the two I would throw out are Vince Lombardi and Lou Holtz.
Have you read, one of Lou Holtz's books I read a while back?
I got one right next to me right now. I don't know if the one on his championship season at Notre Dame. But
okay, yeah, that may be the one that somebody was telling me about a while back. And they said they were talking about how it was really good.
Yeah, he's just. He had the unique combination of being fiery, but also like great sense of humor. Obviously knew the game. He's pretty well rounded as a person when it came to being a head coach.
Yeah. I liked him as a commentator too.
He was good.
Yeah.
I always liked that he would heckle Mark May because Mark May was a big USC guy, and he would give Mark May the business. I'm like, good for you, Luke. Get after him.
Okay, who's the most motivating coach you've heard speak?
Well, I got to hear Lou Holtz speak.
Oh.
And, yeah, that was amazing. Yeah, so I'd have to go with him. I don't know if I've heard anyone better.
Where'd you hear him speak?
At the Notre Dame coaching clinic.
Okay.
So actually growing up, we a lot of times, so my whole family growing up was like diehard Irish fans. And so we'd drive out to spring practice and stuff. And so like that was kind of what we did is we'd go watch practice, we'd go to the coaching clinics. Even when I was little, we were doing that.
Oh,
so,
man.
Yeah, so you hear a lot of good ones. But he was amazing. Another really good one, John Gruden. He had like the entire room just rolling, like dying laughing.
He's a good speaker, huh?
Yeah, and he was the same guy. He could combine comedy with getting after it and knew his X's and O's. So, and obviously he's reinvented himself, and he was good.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, you have a favorite pregame song you like to hear?
So, Coach Rao, who's been at Paradise since, I believe, 1998, he does our pregame music, and it's the same soundtrack we've had for like the last 10 years. And there's you got a fun combination. There's James Brown on there. There's gospel music. So it's great. So whatever he rolls out, that's what we're doing.
If he'd been here that long doing it, then I would have been listening to him when we were playing them over here too, I guess.
There's not every soundtrack that you get James Brown and gospel music, so we get it here on Friday nights.
Okay, do you have a favorite sports movie?
Remember the Titans.
Yeah, that was good.
That's hard to beat.
Okay, what about a favorite movie quote?
I may pull from the Titans, water's for washing blood off my uniform. Not that we actually live by that, but it's a good movie quote.
Yeah, I know. It's nowadays you look back at what we went through back in the day because we were literally drinking from the PVC pipe with holes drilled in it,
That's right.
and taking salt tablets
right.
at the end of every practice.
Yeah.
And my dad would give me more when I got home.
That's great. Yeah.
So those were definitely the days, and the stickers in the field where you're having to do bear crawls, and those were good old
A lot
days.
of tough people, though. I mean, you get tough kids for sure. So, I mean, part of me loves it.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. Well, okay, so that's the last of the questions. But before we close, tell me about the new district and season coming up.
So, district, we lost Ponder and Iowa Park because they went to 4A.
Okay.
So, other than that, remains the same. Obviously, us and Peaster played each other twice last year, and both games, unique in their own ways, but really similar. It came down to the last drive. They had the ball. In the regular season, we got them. We made a play on defense. And then in the postseason, they got us. They made a play at the end of the game. They'll be really good again. So that'll be a really good matchup. We have our crosstown rival in Boyd. Their head coach, Coach Sparks, done an excellent job. So they'll be good again. Bowie, I want to say, has like almost 15 seniors. So they'll have a lot of returners. And then Vernon maybe has the most.
A drive. That's
yeah,
my old
it
district
is.
when I was at Bridgeport growing up.
They may have the most talented player. The coach's son, who will be linebacker and running back, and he'll probably carry the ball 30 times versus us. So it'll be a good test. In our non-district, we have all 4A schools, so we couldn't get any 3As on the schedule. So
I saw that preseason schedule.
It'll be really tough. It's one of those things that it can be a blessing for you if everyone's healthy. But we're not the biggest team, so you can get beat up quick. So our kids are tough. They'll get after it, and it'll probably be like 5 really tough football games. You could win or lose late. But it's a tough pre-district for us.
Well, by the time you get to district, at least you know where you stand. You know what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Correct. It'll be good. It'll get us ready for district and ready for the postseason. So, we don't know what the postseason is going to shake out to be, but the region's really tough. Like, you have us and Peaster and Vernon and Boyd in there, but then teams like Wall is now in it, Llano is now in it, Ingram Moore, Bushland, Shallowater, Jim Ned is still there. Clyde's going to have a good senior group. So it's a really tough region, really tough.
Well, and you're talking about a lot of those schools that are right down there by me because I'm right there beside Ingram. I know the coach there.
Tell them to take the day off, stop practicing. They've earned it.
Well, I was about to say, he almost got flooded out again and wouldn't have had much choice.
Really?
But because we had those floods down there again a couple weeks ago. Well, a couple weeks ago.
So I've never been to Ingram Moore. What
weeks.
City is that located in?
It's right beside Kerrville.
Oh, it is by Kerrville.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ingram, you literally could stand on the edge of their school and almost throw a football into the river.
Oh, so
it's that close.
Who would be like their crosstown rival?
Let's see. They got Comfort right there. They got Mason up the road, but Mason's smaller.
Okay.
But I imagine that's probably a little rivalry there with Mason. But you got Comfort right up the road. You got Blanco up the road a little bit. Johnson City, probably. Those are probably some of their rivals there. Junction's a little smaller. But, yeah, Ingram's just a stone's throw.
I think they have a lot of seniors this year. They should have a good football season.
And he does a good job coaching them. I went to one of their games last year and went down, watched from the sideline, with them. And he does a good job with the kids. And he's a good Christian guy, too.
Good.
And works well with them over there.
Yeah,
so.
Good for him.
But, okay, well, Coach, that's the last of the questions I have. Anything you want to add about what you got going on here at Paradise?
I always brag on our coaches and kids. Like our administration, our superintendent, Ms. Gibson, our school board are awesome. They're so supportive of athletics and what we got going on here. And our staff is great. I told our kids before the season started, like, I can look confidently and say we are putting amazing men in front of you. Like, our coaches are going to care about you as people. They're going to do things in a godly way. And they know the game of football, and they're going to coach your butt off. And our kids are just fun, man. They're just fun to be around. Really tough, hard-nosed kids who love each other, love the game. And the most important thing we do in Paradise is, like I said, our motto is tough like Jesus. So, we're far from perfect, but we're trying to do things in a godly way. We're trying to make it more than just football. Like our staff will say, football is a vehicle or a means to doing things in a godly way. And I think football is just actually a really fun, cool way to teach kids the disciplines of the spiritual life. Like, get your butt up early and pray when you don't want to. We're getting up at 5 a.m. right now for practice. We don't want to do that. So it's a good way to teach the kids the disciplines of the spiritual life. And we're trying to hopefully one day help them become better dads, better husbands, better leaders. We need men who will lead. And so we tell our kids every day, like, you're expected to be a leader, whether you're a captain or not. And so at Paradise, we're blessed to have that opportunity. And, we love these kids. They're awesome. So if you've never been to Paradise, come on and stop by, and we'll get you a Tough Like Jesus hat.
All right. Now, that sounds good. Coach, thank you so
sir.
much for letting me come in and visit with you, and look forward to following you.
Good. We'll get you on the sideline maybe one of these games.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today here in Paradise with Coach Cook. I hope you enjoyed getting to know a little more about him and his thoughts on our topics today. Next episode, you're surprised. I actually know where my next episode will be already, but I'll be in San Antonio at Sam Houston High School with Coach Richard Colquitt. I hope I'm saying that right, Coach. So I hope you can join us. But until then, remember, if you are lost in Texas, just look for the lights.
I wear that red and white on a Friday night when my hometown takes the field. I say yes sir, yes ma'am, try to be the best man. That's how I feel. No matter where my heart runs, I remember where I came from. Still got that raised up pride, that small town pride, that black, red, white, and blue. Got that trust.